I'm Harrison Graham. On today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, I take a look at an updated Bears 53-man roster projection. Ryan Poles told us at the beginning of training camp it's going to be tough to make this roster. I think we're seeing that play out. So here's my latest attempt to come up with the 53. Let's start with quarterback. I debated back and forth. Do you keep Brett Rypien on the 53? Do you just roll with two guys? I'm sticking with just two for now. We only saw Rypien play one series in the third preseason game. I think it's clearly a gap there still between Bagent and Rypien in the Bears' eyes on who the backup is. Bagent's young. They've invested into him. So I'm going to go Caleb and Tyson as the two guys on the 53. Not ready to include Rip at this time. Could that change? Possibly. But I also think the Bears might feel like they can get him back to the practice squad as well, where his real value is in that QB room, on the sideline, in those meetings. And with the new rules this year, you can have a practice squad quarterback dress on game days, and if your top two QBs get hurt, the third guy off the practice squad can go in and play and not count against the game day roster. So I think that's ideally what the Bears are going to try to do this year. What do you guys think? Should Brett Rypien make the 53-man roster? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Whether or not he should remains to be seen, but I certainly have enjoyed what I've seen from him so far, and I certainly wouldn't rule it out. I just think right now I have him on the outside looking in. This is where things get interesting. Running back, DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert for now. I still think a trade could happen. Roschon Johnson. I'm going to list Velus Jones Jr. with the running back grouping here, but I still think he has the ability to play some receiver, obviously, as well. And I think the Bears giving him reps at running back is to try to increase his value on this roster. Because if they are set on him being the kick returner, if he can play at least some receiver and running back. Obviously, he's not going to run the full route tree. Obviously, they're not going to play him a ton of snaps at receiver, probably not a ton at running back, but if he could give you 10 snaps a game offensively, 6 or 7 at running back, 3 to 5 at receiver, that gives him value beyond just being a good kickoff returner. So I think if he shows continued progress at running back, they'll keep him on this team. And look, I thought about keeping Travis Homer. For now, I don't have a spot for him. And also, I think a notable cut here, too, that I have is Khari Blasingame, which means the Bears would not carry a fullback. And in the preseason, while he's played some, it hasn't been a lot. And Shane Waldron didn't really utilize a fullback last year. If they ran I formation, they had a tight end to line up at fullback, which the Bears could easily do. Stay tuned for tight end. But I think there's a variety of reasons for this. I think going heavier at tight end has more value on special teams with this new kickoff rule than what Blasingame could bring. So I think there's a chance that Khari gets cut here. Let's go to wide receiver. I'm actually just going to go 5 right now because Velus is that 6th guy, right? See, again, he can play some receiver. He knows the position. He's not great at it, but if you need him to go out there and line up and block and run some routes for you, he can at least do that. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Tyler Scott, Colin Johnson. And again, I think the Bears might look at this thing like, okay, Velus gives us one body to be a depth piece for 2 positions. So I think they could get away with this number. I don't have DeAndre Carter making it right now. I need to see more. He hasn't done much within the offense. I haven't seen him make a big impact as a punt returner yet either. So I think right now you can live without having him. You could line someone else at punt returner. Josh Blackwell could do that. Maybe Rome Odunze does it some. We'll see. Obviously, I'd like to have a steady and dynamic presence as my punt returner, but if Carter's not going to be dynamic, well, maybe they just find someone else to go catch the ball when punts go out there because if he's not going to be a weapon there, what's really the point if he's not giving you much on offense? All right, tight end. I'm going to go 4 here. This is the first time I've gone beyond 3. A couple reasons. One, obviously Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, Mercedes Lewis. They're all making the team. But one, we've seen Shane Waldron use tight ends in the preseason. He clearly values the position. If you look at his time in Seattle, too, and even with McVay in Los Angeles, those offenses always like having multiple tight ends. We saw plenty of plays on Saturday with both Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett in there at the same time. Mercedes Lewis being a little bit older. And again, if you cut Khari, I think having a fourth tight end makes sense where you can line a guy up at fullback. And Tommy Sweeney is 6'5", 255 pounds. I thought about Brendan Bates, which we'll get to some practice squad potential names here as well. The UDFA out of Kentucky, but Sweeney's got experience. I think he's looked the best out of that depth group in the preseason, better than Stephen Carlson and Brendan Bates, 5 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown. And he's a big physical guy, and with this new kickoff rule, it requires having big bodies, guys who can set blocks and hit people. Not saying Khari can't do that, but he's not as big. He's not as long. He can't reach as many guys out there. So keeping that fourth tight end could be valuable. And, you know, if he can be 85% of the fullback Khari Blasingame is, then, you know, you probably live with that 15% you're losing there because you're not going to have a fullback on the field a ton anyway, if we're being completely honest. Who do you think makes this roster? Could be neither, could be both. Who would you rather keep? Type KB for Khari Blasingame, TS for Tommy Sweeney. It's not about what I would rather do. It's what I'm thinking they're going to do right now, and I think going heavier at tight end is something they might consider as well. So I'm going to type my TS. I like Khari, but they just haven't utilized him much. They didn't use him much with Getsy either, so we'll see where it goes, but certainly both guys have a chance here. Offensive line, I've got 9 guys. We'll get to Karan in a second, but left side is my projected starters for now from left to right, Braxton, Tevin Jenkins. I think they settle with Coleman Shelton at center, Ryan Bates at right guard, but either way, they're both going to make the team. Darnell Wright at right tackle. I still think Nate Davis makes this team almost no matter what because there's no financial benefit to cutting him. Matt Pryor makes it as well. He's already shown his value both as a tackle and guard. I've had Larry Borum not make it on my last projection, but I think with Amagaji not being ready to go, I think you keep Borum for now. And then Jatiri Carter, he's kind of your last depth interior guy who makes it once again. And then reserve list, which is kind of a phrase of this new rule, rookie Karan Amagaji, who wouldn't count against your initial 53, assuming he's still not healthy yet, which as of now that appears to be the case. Remember, the competition committee announced this, to permit each club to place a maximum of 2 players who are placed on an applicable reserve list on the business day of the final roster reduction to be designated for return. Such players will immediately count as 2 of the club's total designations. So you have 2 spots where the day of cutdown day, you can declare as guys who essentially go on short-term IR designated to return. Before, if you knew guys were hurt and weren't going to be ready week 1 and you had to put them on short-term IR, you had to carry them on your initial 53 and then bring them back the next day, essentially place them on IR, then you could bring someone back that you cut, but there was always a risk that someone you cut got claimed. So I think Amagaji starts on this list. I don't think he'll be ready week 1. And even if technically he is fully cleared, I could see the Bears still putting him on this list because he just needs practice and he needs to ramp back up. He hasn't played in a football game since October, and that was at Yale. Like, there's already going to be a learning curve just from getting him from the Ivy League up to the NFL. So I think this is a perfect rule designation for him. Put him on this reserve list, and you can carry someone else through your initial 53. All right, we are sponsored by Rocket Money here on Chicago Bears Now. Shout out to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's show. And if you're looking to stay on top of your finances and scale back on your spending, Rocket Money is going to help you do that. Go download the app today with our link that's in the comments and description of this video. It's rocketmoney.com/Bears Now. It's a personal finance app that will help you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I use Rocket Money all the time. I've canceled multiple subscriptions I have because I realized, like most people do, I was spending like $250 a month on subscriptions. Most people think it's like $65. Trust me, it's more. Don't believe me? Download the app and you'll be amazed. But they'll help you cancel those subscriptions. You don't have to work directly with customer service. Rocket Money is kind of a middleman for you. They can help you set budgets. They'll send you alerts throughout the month to see if you're staying on top of your spending. If you need to scale back or if you have some wiggle room, they'll kind of let you know that as well. Rocket Money is saving customers who utilize the app to its full potential over $700 per year. They've saved people $500 million total dollars for their 5 million customers by canceling subscriptions alone. take advantage of Rocket Money, rocketmoney.com/Bears now. And it's just a nice financial app too. Like even if you're not trying to do specific budgets or anything, it's just easy to monitor everything you got going on with your finances. So take advantage. Go download the app right now. Okay, let's go to the defense now. I think this is kind of the hardest group to figure out right now in terms of projecting, but Montez Sweat, Trevon Dexter, Andrew Billings, DeMarcus Walker, obviously Austin Booker, Zach Pickens, those top 6, they're locks to make the team. So that's easy. I got Byron Coar in there for now as a 4th defensive tackle. He flashed in the Hall of Fame game. Didn't do much last week, but I've got him in there for now. Dominique Robinson looked better in the 2nd preseason game, so I've got him making it. I have Jacob Martin as a 5th defensive end. Now, he's been banged up. He could also be a candidate to start on the reserve list, but I think he could be back before week 1, so I've got him as my 9th guy right now. But the defensive line depth is tough to figure out. You've got Khalid Kareem in the mix, Daniel Hardy. Do they sign a veteran or trade for somebody? I think after you get beyond those top 6, who, like I said, are locks, it's kind of still up for grabs. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see how many guys they keep. Do they go lighter at defensive tackle initially and then maybe claim someone off waivers after cutdown day? I think that's possible. But, yeah, we'll see where things progress from here. What do you guys think, though? Will the Bears sign or trade for a defensive lineman, type S for sign or P for pass? Still think it's possible, but I also think they like what Austin Booker and some of these other guys have shown, where they're going to be patient and kind of see where this thing goes. A little bit different look at linebacker here. I'm going to go 5, which is the number I've been throwing out there, but obviously your top 3, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, Jack Sanborn. Amano makes the team as a special teamer. He also played better this week at linebacker. That was encouraging. Micah Baskerville was the Bears' highest graded player per PFF last week. Now, when you have a nice pick 6, that's going to help. But I like how he plays, man. He's got a safety background. He can cover well. Good enough tackler. I think he's worth investing into. And Noah Sewell's banged up. So I've got him as that 2nd reserve list guy right now. I'm not sure what his status is, but maybe you sneak him onto there if he's not ready to go. And, you've got him and Amagaji on that short-term IR, and you see how the early part of the season plays out. But I think Baskerville can give you some juice on special teams, can be a solid backup. So I'm rooting for him. They brought him in as a UDFA last year, was on the practice squad, did some good things in training camp, and he's doing it again this year. So let's see if that continues. Corner, probably the deepest position group on this team. I'm going 7, man. Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, Terrell Smith. Jalen Jones, who's played some with the starters due to injuries. He's looked pretty good. Josh Blackwell, who's in the mix at punt return as well. He's one of your core special teamers. And then Greg Stroman Jr., who I know for a fact they like. For him, it's going to come down to, can he play well enough on special teams? They're deep at corner, man. That doesn't even include Leon Jones and Reddy Stewart, 2 rookie UDFAs, who I mentioned on a recent show. Could they be sneaky replacements for Blackwell and Jalen Jones? I think Jalen Jones is safe for sure, though. He's played a lot with the starters. Blackwell, if he's in the mix at punt returner, probably makes it also. Greg Stroman's kind of that guy. Like, does he make it? Do they keep 6 instead of 7? We'll see. But a lot of guys they like at that position, and guys I like too. So we'll see how they manage that. Subscribe to the channel. Bears football is back, and we are publishing daily content for you guys, trying to get to 97,000 subs here on the channel as soon as possible. The road to 100K is here. If you want daily coverage for free, hit that sub button. All right, 5 safeties, so yeah, it's 12 defensive backs. That feels like a lot. I think in the end that probably will be too many, but that's what I have today. Byard and Brisker as your starters. Jonathan Owens, your number 3 guy. Elijah Hicks, who looks improved, plus plays on special teams, and Quindell Johnson. He's a good special teamer as well. I think 5 safeties is the sweet spot. They could go 4. Maybe they pick Hicks or Johnson, but I think 5 is where you go here. And then you got your 3 specialists. Cairo Santos is your kicker. Torrey Taylor is your punter. And, of course, Patrick Scales is the long snapper. Before we get to some practice squad names, drop a name in the comments. Name a player that seems to be on the roster bubble that you would like to make this team. The guy I'm rooting for is Micah Baskerville. I think he's earned it. I get the Bears are good at linebacker, but 2 off seasons in a row now, he's done good things. Like, he's earned a roster spot, I think. Now, I get it. Good players get squeezed out, and like Ryan Poles said, it's going to be tough to make this team, but, I mean, he's shown you more since Noah Sewell. They were both rookies last year. I think Baskerville's looked better. Sewell's hurt right now. I'm not saying you cut Sewell. You can put him on the reserve list, but, at some point, like, just because you drafted a guy, like, you got to keep the guys who deserve it, and I feel like Baskerville has. All right, some practice squad candidates here. I think both your quarterbacks that didn't make it on the 53, Brett Rypien, Austin Reed, are guys I'd like to keep around. Rypien is kind of that veteran presence. Reed is that rookie UDFA that you can develop a little bit. Ian Wheeler, he was close to making my projected roster, but running back's so crowded right now, certainly would want him back on the 53 if he does, or on the practice squad if he doesn't make the 53. I'd like to keep DeAndre Carter around if he doesn't make the team because if you're having issues at punt returner, you could elevate him on game day, or maybe you call him up to the 53 later in the season. Simo Webster, they like. I think they'd keep him around in the practice squad. We'll see if they'd keep Dante Pettis, but he's another player as well. Brendan Bates, I think he's a perfect practice squad candidate. Physical player, has shown some nice things. You could put him there. Bill Murray, the offensive lineman, has done some good things in camp. So has Doug Kramer. Kramer graded out well this past Saturday against the Bills, against, third stringers mostly, but I think that's worth keeping around on a practice squad. It's nice having a guy who could call up in a pinch and play some center. Jake Curran is kind of a practice squad swing tackle type. Keith Randolph Jr., we haven't heard much about him in camp and in the preseason, but if they want to develop a local kid, I'd be cool with that. Daniel Hardy, thought about keeping him on the 53, but if not, I think him and Khalid Kareem could be practice squad guys. Adrian Colbert, he's on that bubble too. And then Leon Jones and Reddy Stewart, if they don't make the 53, would certainly like to keep them around and see if they can do something on the practice squad. All right, there you have it, my latest 53-man roster projection. We'll probably do one more of these before cut-down day. And then, of course, once the real roster comes out, we will react to that as well. My name is Harrison Graham. Be sure to subscribe for more content, and we'll see you guys soon.